Bava Kamah Kuf Tesvav, holding now Kuf Yudal by the Mishnah. The last Mishnah says, Hamakir Kolel v'sfarav yad acher. If a person recognizes his stolen Kolel and scrolls in another possession, Yotzalei Shem Geneva Behir, and a rumor has spread in the city that the former now had been the victim of theft. Shavda lekat kamanosan. The purchaser, the one who in possession of these items, must take an oath to the victim as how much money he spent on the purchase. And he then takes the sum of money in exchange for returning the item. Lav, and if no such rumor has spread, lav kol emena. It is not in the victim's power to assert that these items were stolen. He's not entitled to demand the return. Shani Emer, as I could say, these items were never stolen. Rather, the victim sold them to another. This individual who currently possesses the item purchased them from that person. And even if a rumor spread in the city that had been the victim of theft, what is it? Let us suspect that perhaps he sold the items, and he himself is spreading the rumor that they were stolen so that he would be able to buy them back. It says, talking about a case where guests came into his house, and he arose at night and shouted, and he said, I Kolel were stolen, in which case it seems clear that he's a victim of theft. So the Gemara says, on the contrary, the suspicion that he is lying should apply all the more so, as he has found a pretext for claiming that his property was stolen. And it should be suspected that he is taking advantage of the situation dishonestly. Kana would conclude this halacha was stating the name of Rav. Talking about a case where a group of people spent the night in his house, and there were a tunnel that he had been burrowed into his house. The other people that stayed overnight as guests in his house, they left with bundles they left with bundles of vessels on their shoulders. Everyone says, so-and-so's vessels were stolen. In such a case, there's a clear evidence that the homeowner was the victim of theft. So the Gemara asks, but perhaps only Kolel were stolen. Scrolls were not. So why must the purchaser return the scrolls as well as the Kolel? Talking about a case where everyone is saying the scrolls were also stolen. And let us suspect that perhaps the small scrolls were taken, while he is claiming the large scrolls were taken. This is the case, he's claiming scrolls that do not belong to him. The save for plenty of plenty. Talk about a case that such and such scroll and such scroll were stolen. It is known which scrolls were taken from the homeowners. But perhaps the scrolls that were stolen were old. And he's claiming new scrolls were taken. Talking about a case where these are so-and-so vessels and these are so-and-so scrolls. This case is known exactly which items were stolen. But the Rabbi actually say this. Rabbi says, a burglar came in and left. He took Kolel and left. He's exempt from paying these items. Right time. What's the reason? He purchased them with his blood. Since the balabais is allowed to kill a burglar, the burglar is exempt from returning the stolen items based on the principle. So if the burglar himself is exempt, how can one who purchased an item from the burglar be required to return it? Where explains, this matter that one who steals acquires what he stole applies only to a burglar. Initially suspected himself to be killed when he broke into the house. But concerning these thieves who stayed overnight as a guest of the homeowner, since he did not break into the house and thereby subject himself to be killed, they're not putter from returning the stolen items. Rabbi says, we taught that all these conditions must be met before the Purchaser can be forced to return the item only with regards to a homeowner who is wont to sell his vessels. But a homeowner who's doesn't want to sell his kelim, then he does not need to purchase the man in all these details. Where questions perhaps he needs money and therefore sold the items despite the fact that he does not generally sell his personal belongings. A rumor spread in the city that he has been the victim of theft. So it's reasonable to assume that he is the rightful owner, and he does not usually sells belongings as common knowledge, and it is common knowledge that he was a victim of theft. Now, having assessed the Mishnah's ruling with regards to the case where the thief remained unidentified, the Gemara discusses a case where the thief was found. Itmar, Ganavu Machar. A case where a thief stole an item and sold it. And later the thief was identified. He says the homeowner's claim can be pursued only with the first one, the thief, but he has no claim against the purchaser. The homeowner's claim can also be pursued with the second one, with the purchaser. Rabbi says, Rabbi do not disagree. Here the case about which Rabbi issued the ruling the item was purchased when the thief before the victim of the theft despaired. Are we covering the whole the stolen item? And the claim can be pursued even with the second one, the purchaser. However, Laki uses the Marishan. It means if the news to the right, obviously the Rabbi and both Rab and Rabbi have accepted the halacha, the ruling of Rabbi that the homeowner has not yet the spirit of retrieving this item, he can press his claim against either the thief or the purchaser. Abaya says the late pligi. The late pligi is Rab and Rabbi do not disagree. A man is going to call the years dummy. Isn't a case involving gifts of which members of the Kohana are entitled comparable. The case of stolen item that was sold before the onset of the owner's the use. But pligi and the Kohen still hopes to receive the gifts, and Rabbi disagree with regards to the status. The Tanakh will learn that in Mishnah. If one said to the butcher, "Sell me the innards of a cow," sell me the innards of a cow, and the gifts of the priesthood were in them. They said to the Kohen, the purchaser must give it to the Kohen. And he may not deduct the value of the gifts from the money agreed to pay the purchaser. If he purchased the innards from the purchaser by weight, he must give the gifts of priest, and he may deduct the value of the gifts from the money he agreed to pay the butcher. Rav says, they taught us Allah only with regard a purchaser weigh the innards for himself. But if the purchaser weigh the innards for him, the Allah is with the butcher. The Gemara now says, say that Rav meant that even the purchase, he can even pursue his claim with the butcher, although he is certainly able to claim the gifts from the purchaser. You would think, you would say that the gifts of the priesthood are not considered to have been stolen. Mashulman teaches us that they are considered to have been stolen in this case, and therefore the Kohen can press the claim against the butcher. My ask about Abai or pligi my pligi. And according to Abai, it said that Rabbi and Rabbi disagree with regards to what do they disagree. When the ruling of Rabbi Chizda, Rav disagrees with Rabbi Chizda, a rule is that one is entitled to collect only from the thief. Rabbi Yechon accepts this ruling of Rabbi Chizda and allows one to collect from either the thief or the purchaser. As Ved Amar Razid says, the owner of the spear, the possession of the purchaser, but later Seshal B'Yad but did not get the spear when it was the possession of the thief. And there's with this that they disagree. Rabbi Yechon holds that if they dispute on the part of the owner and afterwards there is a change of possession, then he's clean. Like on there's no difference. Rabbi says, with regards to a stolen cloak itself, everyone agrees that it has to be returned to the other purchaser, to the owner. And here, Chachamim implemented the provision ensuring the integrity of the marketplace in the case of Rav and Rabbi Yechon disagree. Why? Because after returning the item to its owners, he can collect the money from the thief. But also by Takanas Hashuk. And the Chacham did not implement the provision ensuring the integrity of the marketplace in the case. Because Allah with regard to the purchaser, they can also collect the money from the homeowner and return to him. Also with the Galas Chachamim, and the Chacham did implement the provisions ensuring the integrity of the marketplace in this case. Mar asks, some of the Rab, they also with the Kanas Shuk. Does Rav hold that Chacham did not implement the provisions ensuring the integrity of the marketplace in this case? But Rav Huna Talmidei Rav Habe, but wasn't Rav Huna the student of Rav? The Chanavisha Ganav Glima was Abni, and when a certain thief known as Hanan the Wicked stole a cloak and then sold it, also Talmidei Rav, Gabri says, he said to the man from whom the cloak was stolen, go redeem your pledge from the purchaser. In other words, reimburse the purchaser for the garment that he returned to you. So Rav stood and held that the Chacham did allow a purchaser to claim reimbursement of the owner. Shani Chanan Bishan, why? Since you have no money, there's no way for the purchaser to collect payment for him. And in this case, therefore, it's comparable to the case where there is not identified. Amar Rav says, in Ganav, if it's a known Ganav, but also with the Chalas Hashuk, there's no Chalas Hashuk. Friday Gemara about Hanan Bisha, the Meforsim have also, but the Chalas Hashuk. He was known, and nevertheless, they made it the Chalas Hashuk. Gemara says, Neid, the Meforsim of the Vishusi. Although he was well known for his stealing, still his levush, also he was not well known for his theft. He's a villain, but he wasn't a theft. His thievery was not known. Mara continues to examine the provision ensuring the integrity of the marketplace. Itmar was stated, with regard to one who stole and repaid his debt, the stolen item. Or one who stole and repaid his debt from credit. Also with the Chalas Hashuk, Chacham did not make the Chalas Hashuk. They said, without the expectation or seemingly stolen items that they gave the debtor anything. With regard to the integrity of the marketplace, it was stated that if a thief provided a stolen item, mashkanta, worth 200 dinars as a collateral for a loan of 100 dinars, Shalom mustn't been one. Chacham implemented the provision ensuring the integrity of the marketplace in this case. However, Allah is also the Gemara examines the application of this provision. The Zvina in a sale, Shava b'Shava, if the stolen item was purchased for an amount equal to its actual market value, also by the Kalas Chacham, also by the Takanas of Shugli. Shava may have been Masan, if the stolen item was worth 100 dinars, was purchased at the price of 200 dinars. Ashesha says that also by the Kalas Shug, and Rabbi says also by the Kalas Shug. The other side of Allah is, but Kula also by the Kalas Shug. All the Chacham, in all these cases, the Chacham implemented the provision ensuring the integrity of the marketplace. Except with regard to one who stole or paid the debt with the stolen item, or stole and paid his debt from credit that was extended to him and was a stolen item. One recounts a related incident. Aviva, Abimi Marnozi, Hamud Ravina Havamasi Baud Gavra Abrazuzi. This guy was the father-in-law of Ravina who owed 400 dinars by a certain man. He was owed. Ganav Glimad Asiyeh Nahali. Stole a cloak and brought it to Ravimi as repayment for the loan. Ravimi then lent him 400 additional dinars. Then they knew it was the guy. The guy was found. Also, so they came in front of Ravina. Amar Ravina said to Bava Kamah, the first 400 dinars that were lent, stole and paid his debt. He's not required to give anything. With regards to the 4 additional hundreds, take your money from the owner, and return the cloak to him. But perhaps the cloak was given to Avimi only for these 4 dinners, the first 4 dinners, and it was in this case the thief that stole and repaid his debt. He stole and repaid his debt from the credit. I was in the last 400. I mean, in many cases, they haven't been cut out. Trusted the debtor just as he trusted him initially. He says, "Going milsa matter circulated until it came before Rabbi said the Allah is according to the opinion of Rav Cain." Or recounts another incident. Narshoni Gonov Sifro. A resident of Narsha stole a scroll. Zabne Lapumne Bitwani Zuzi, and sold it to residents of Pumne for 80 dinars. Also, he went and they sold it to the residents of Mechuzeh for 120 dinars. Then they found out, identified the Ganav, or Rabbi Lizal Mar the Sifra Biole the Bar Mechuzeh Tamna Zuzi B'Shagos Safri. The original owner of the scroll should go and the residents of Mechuzeh 80 dinars and take the scroll and return it. Also, Bar Mechuzeh B'Shagos Safri, and afterwards the residents of Mechuzeh should go and take the remaining 40 dinars from the residents of Papunoi. Maskal Rabbi asked Hashlet when Ganav now, as had been established with regard to one who purchases from the thief. Oh, the Chachamim made us about the buy from purchaser for sure. Accordingly, the final purchaser is entitled to receive from the original owner the full amount of that he paid for the item. He says, Leizol Medei, the Sifra of Yorvli Bar Mechuzeh Me'avasim Zuzi B'Shagos Sifri. I've said that the original owner of the scroll should go and give the residents of Mechuzeh 120 dinars. I take the scroll and return. The Leizol Mari, the Sifra of Lishka Abrim Apoloni, 20 Menasho. Afterwards, the original owner of the scroll shall go and collect 40 dinars from the residents of 80 dinars from the residents of Harash, as each profited from the sale of these amounts respectfully. Second Mishnah. Situation where this individual came with his barrel of wine and that individual came with the jug of honey. The individual, now, what happened? This guy came with his barrel of wine and that individual came with his jug of wine. The barrel of honey cracked and this first individual poured out his wine and salvaged the other's honey, which was worth more than the wine, by collecting into the wine barrel. So, the owner of the wine has the right to collect only his wage, compensation for the effort he put into salvaging the honey. He's not, however, entitled to the compensation of the wine itself. But if the owner of the wine said, I will salvage your honey and you will pay me the value of my wine, then the owner of the honey is obligated to pay him the compensation for the wine. If a river washed away his donkey and the donkey of another, his donkey was worth 400 dinars and the donkey of the other was worth 200. And the individual with the less valuable donkey abandoned his donkey and instead salvaged the donkey of the other. So Allah says, he only has the right to collect his wage, compensation for the effort he put into salvaging his fellow's donkey. But if he says, then Chayv. The Gemara says, why does the one who poured out the wine have the right to collect his wage? I say to the owner of the honey, I have acquired your honey for ownerless property. Isn't the time of Rizar one who was laden with jugs of wine and jugs of oil. Somebody had jugs of wine and jugs of oil. And you saw that they were breaking, the condoms were leaking out. You should not say there is hereby separated as truma and tithe the produce that I have in my house. If he does, he didn't say anything. The fact that one cannot separate produce that is about to be lost as truma or meiser indicates that such property is considered hefker. My answer is talking about a case where the basket of the olives pressed the raft around it. When the basket of the olive press was wrapped around the honey barrel so that it would not break completely, and the contents, so therefore not render olives. Why it says, and if he said that what the wine or the oil is separated from truma or tithe is as though that he did not say anything. But one was traveling the road and had money in his possession. He saw a bully coming towards him. He should not say this is my sheni produce that I have in my house is thereby not ma'ason to these coins. They're mechulal. Sanctity of the produce is thereby transferred to these coins. And if he just says they are kaim. My answer is my skin can be shiachal. He's capable of saving his money. The Gemara says, why can you not say it? He could save it, but with difficulty. Anytime there is potential loss that one cannot say that the sanctity is transferred to the money of the chatchila. What time we learn that If one of 10 barrels of virtually impure on tithe, Rachas man nishbara shenish gagol. He saw one of them was broken or had been exposed. He says, "He tumas a meiser shal tisha chavisa." His barrels are separated as the truma of the tithe of the other 9 barrels. V'shemal yasa kain one nefsid kain because he shall not do the priest loss. So Rabbi Yirmiyah b'shekel by sabat korach. Right, so it's talking about when the basket of the olive press was wrapped around the barrel so that some of the contents would remain inside. This is bishleim shenish melef was broken chazi, it still fit. Ella is gagala, but if with regard to the barrel was exposed, among the chazi, for where was it fit? If you say it was exposed wine fit for sprinkling, I tell you, but then we learn water that was exposed may not be poured in the and should not pour out in the public domain. As a bias. If you say that it's fit for sprinkling, you should not. It's poured in but you got satit. You should not pour it to the public domain. You should not mix it with clay. Nor settle dust with the sprinkle on it. Or should give it to the animal to drink. And believe it not to his friend's animal. It proves that exposed liquids may not be used even for sprinkling. The wine is fit for use because he passed it through a strainer. Like the Nechemi says, the Tanya Masanan a vessel covered with a strainer subject to the halachas of exposure in the vessel, which was left unsupervised. If the bottom is mechusa and the bottom top is megula, because this the venom of a snake is like a spot. If it's suffering on the came and it floats and stays in this place. More questions a lot of them are law. Out of similar Mishuvin label, shall play trikoi. It said only with regards to there's not mix but if one mix the wine and the venom found that becomes capable of penetrating the strainer, usher, the wine remains forbidden even if it's passed through a strainer. So my answer is to also after the man of media pum with the chavise. Talking about a case where the venom from mixing the wine was placing something upon the mouth, shafulei and a little filter. The Gemara asks, but in Lechemia mitar mina, according to Lechemia, may we separate the truma from impure produce from another produce. By the time we learned, when we separate truma from produce that is impure, so the answer is